All right. Hello, Real Stocks. What's up, guys? So yesterday we had a pretty decent day on the Nasdaq. We had the big down day the other day. Yesterday closed a little bit higher. Today looks like we're moving a little bit higher right now. We'll see if that maintains. We've got NBEV, Chesapeake, and Nvidia rocking it this morning. Hey, what's up, Eli? Look at Chesapeake yesterday closing up there towards the high, coming down towards the trend line. Could call that a test. Looks like it's going to bounce off of that. Nvidia, similar situation, actually gapping up this morning pretty handily. It's a nice little gap. If Acacia trying to come back. Yeah, they always do that. The news always follows the market. Rarely does it lead it. Skyworks. INS up another, up 2% so far today. Almost in yesterday's high. 256. Nice job, Eli. Good job. Perfect. We talk about that 250 level. Morning, Rob. My whole actionable list is green. O'Reilly's just turned red, but 0.09% after poking into recent highs here. But my entire actionable list is green, which is good. CGC. All right, so we'll take a look at the main watch list. Well, VFF with a pullback, which we haven't seen yet. Hopefully we'll form a nice larger base here at the $18 area. Calm down 20% in 2 days. That's quite a lot. SLCA. Yeah, my wife transferred money, but it probably won't. It didn't get there in time yesterday. She's just gonna get in when it gets to her account. NBEV actually kind of flattening out here the past week or so. Earnings are coming up very soon. 329 before market, so that's okay. So that's Thursday's the last day. Probably will have a reaction if we have something else give earnings in the MJ sector. MMNFF looks like it's trying to get going. Oh, look at the other day. Is that Friday? That was Friday. I believe there's also a quad witching Friday, but it's an over-the-counter, so it makes no sense to have that much volume. So I'd say that's probably pretty bullish. And ENDP up 9% right now. It's up, what, 6% earlier? EDU, new highs out of this little consolidation. Earnings coming out in a month, so that has some time to run. 50 to 80. Why do I have so much space on the right side of my chart? It's hard to know what the future is on a chart, but you need to know what the past is. Yeah, EDU, not bad. Not bad at all, as a matter of fact. Kind of getting with it right there. NASDAQ up 0.8%. Chesapeake's went in today. INS new highs. We noted yesterday the breakout, and that worked out really well. One of the few that was bucking the trend was INS, so I probably would expect at this level, this is just going to continue. It's just going to continue. All right, let's try top down again. Some big drops in LPLA and SIVB. Huge. CINA too. Huge drops. Twitter did okay. Quad U, a little bull flag right there. Tandem holding up really well. Las Vegas Sands, nice little bull flag. Match right there at highs. That thing's probably going to go. MDB, wow. That's impressive. FLT also impressive. A lot of lines there on Netties. There's Fox again. Fox looking good. Holding right up here, little bull flag. Pausing right up here. Let's go take a look here on the weekly. That's really deep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So kind of a weird cup base. A breakout and then another base. So I wonder if this is a base on base. 31%. Here's another cup. So your high would be here at 76.87 would be your buy point technically. Right there. That's your buy point. Pretty good volume here to the right side of this. FOXF. There's FLT again. Goose, not doing much. Neither Stitch Fix. CyberArk, cybersecurity firm, leading industry group. That's an interesting, from 60 to 75, Cognizant, okay. ZS. Wow, look how much pizza pays on the weekly. Cool. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, Eli, a couple weeks ago. Looks like that's been an accurate assessment of things. BMW, ODFL, that's an interesting little setup. Starbucks, new highs. INSG looking pretty interesting there. GMed. That's weird. It's like a interesting little cup, little mini handle here in GMed. Earnings are a ways away, underneath the 200-day moving average. Volume very dry right here. And maybe... I don't know, maybe we'll see something move. Oh gosh, there's so many. Alibaba still holding up here. We looked at this one a few times up here. It kind of broke out of that for a minute and looks like we're in danger of doing something similar. So last time this thing broke out here on elevated volume, had a higher volume day, had kind of a low volume testing day, and then the actual breakout day on a gap, small gap, but a gap, continued, next day gap, and then it basically filled in from that point. Went a little bit higher, a little bit lower. So, but the breakout was on elevated volume. It wasn't huge, but it was elevated. Interesting. All right, Baba. Workday, also a nice little cup base thing. Not bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a flat base. 13% deep on Workday. Very nice. 1, 2, 3. Yep, an actual flat base. It looks like a consolidation. What's up, Justin? But yeah, it meets qualifications. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So actually, the end of this week would be week 5. But yeah, Workday 200. They're not too bad. Put that on the actionable list. This is stupid. Why do I have to do this every time? I mean, I'd like to. All right, fine. There we go, Starbucks. New highs for Starbucks. Volume is a little small. Illumina. Hybrid just had an article on them. I didn't read it, but they were wondering if they could stay on top of the medical device sector. So far, they've been able to. Grifols actually with some sequential lows coming into a trend line, depending on how you want to draw it. How's the market doing? 0.9%, not bad. VMware doing good. EVR, SoFun, MasterCard, MDB. There's Fox. Ah, here fell off a cliff. Lilly. Can't stop, won't stop. Also with another potential flat base up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 weeks. Looks like we're going to break out before we get a 5th week probably. Only down 7%. This thing is just rock solid. Of course, we've been talking about them since over here. About 6 months ago now. Straight up. 22%. Rob, there's no planned discussion, my friend. I'm just going through charts till people ask questions or I see something I like. Nothing's planned. Ask away. I like questions. That's a nice looking little trend line right there on Finnisair. Used to be a leader. I forget what they do. Cup and handle, breakout, pull back to the breakout point. Maybe another breakout up here. The volume's been pretty, not really low. It's been drying up here over the weeks, as you can see. Later, Eli. Talk about inversion curve or whatever they call it. Yeah. It's actually not FUD. It's not FUD. It's one of the only very reliable indicators. Doesn't work every single time, but it's inverted yield curve is what you're referring to. I'm not a huge bond guy, to be honest with you. I can't explain it tremendously well. So let's find something that can. Hold on a second. I need to get more water. But well, thanks for your massive advertisement. I was looking for a graph. Here, I'll leave you with this graph to digest for a little bit. And I can't zoom in. I'm going to grab some water, digest that for a minute. Okay. So what the inverted yield curve is, it's when your 10-year treasury note and your 2-year treasury note, their yields actually invert, implying that the 2-year is more profitable to hold than the 10-year. And I don't know all the mechanics behind it, but what that implies is that a recession is coming. The Federal Reserve, for some reason or another, can't do what they need to do. I'm not fully up on it, to be honest with you, but in a vast majority of cases, it actually um, leads a recession. Inverted yield curve quite often is an early indicator of a recession between 9 and 18 months out. Even if the yield curve inverts tomorrow over the past 7 economic cycles, the median SPX gain from a yield curve is 21%. From inversion to cycle peak, with a recession, a median of 19 months after the initial inversion. So what that's telling you is that after the thing actually inverts, this S&P can still gain 21%, but you have a recession with a median of 19 months long after the initial inversion. But yeah, this is not really FUD. I mean, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. You know, you still got to follow the indexes and things of that nature, but this is one of those actual macroeconomic signals that actually kind of works. This is the 17th inversion signal within a 3-month reset since 1962. 9 of those produce negative 6-month forward returns and 7 positive returns. Oh, that's a new statistic I haven't seen. So it believes this inversion is likely a red flag that something could go wrong, and while it may take a while for things to unravel, history suggests the situation requires respect. That's a good way to put it. They've predicted the last 7 official U.S. recessions, therefore not to be taken lightly. Um, yeah, so like anything in life, nothing's guaranteed, I guess, but the inversion of the yield curve is something, like I said, to be respected. It's something to know about. Um, Probably not something to fear, but so you go back to this chart. This is where it inverts. If I know this chart, and then you can see it rallies a little bit before coming down significantly. So these are recessions. I don't know how to read this damn chart. I don't know what it's talking about. Yeah, possibly that they could forget about it. I mean, that is a scenario. People are like, oh yeah, the curve, the yield curve inverted like 9 months ago. Oh yeah, that's right. No wonder we're selling off. Could be. So FNSR though looks like it's trying to move back towards highs here. Kind of an interesting little situation there. NASDAQ 1% higher today. Volume yesterday was pretty good. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry I didn't know more about it off the top of my head, but it's good to pull stuff up from time to time. We can't know it all. Cannabis Kronos drops as revenue falls short. It's down 1% IBD. Chill. All right, so 5 distribution days on the S&P, 6 on the NASDAQ. Just reading an article here. And they didn't talk much about it. Okay, ENDP up 8%. Acacia bouncing back a little bit. AMRN, which has just been hammered the past few days, not really bouncing back like the rest of the market has. STNE up 5%. We talked yesterday about, if you guys like this name, it came back down to a low entry area yesterday. So, and then back up again today already, almost 6%. This thing's probably just going to have huge rallies in the next couple of months. As long as the market doesn't fall apart. Market up 1.12, Stone up 6. That's always a good side of the trade to be on. But yeah, nice little consolidation here. We'll see if this can float around for a little bit and then poke higher. Volume declining nicely. Yesterday, past 2 days, limited selling volume, very, very nice after 3 nice days of gains right around earnings time. So 2 days before, 1 day after. Noted the gap rule. Talk about pocket pivots. Eli, I thought you left. Yeah, so pocket pivot. Let's talk about pocket pivots. This is actually a good chart to talk about pocket pivots. So let's do that. So, all right, pocket pivots. So first thing you got to notice about a pocket pivot is a green day that looks like there has quite a bit of volume. We're going to call it this day. We're also going to expand this chart a little bit. And we'll bring this down on top of volume so I can actually see what's going on. Okay, so we'll look at an interesting day here. Big, and you're looking at volume first, okay? And if it's a green volume, it should be a green price bar. Double check that, and if not, your settings are wrong somehow. All right, so first things first, big green volume bar, bigger than most, and you're looking for going back 9 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, you're looking at volume, so going down to volume. This is 9 days out. Now, this green bar is fighting with the largest red volume bar. If this bar is larger than this largest red volume bar, it is a pocket pivot. If it is not, it is not. So, my red on my little ticker over here, 1.288, 1.241, not quite a pocket pivot, but its big brother over here is a pocket pivot. Pocket pivot is an early sign of accumulation. You go back 9 days, and you compare that large green volume candle against the largest red volume candle of that 9-day period. And so you can clearly see this is a pocket pivot. And again, it's an early accumulation sign. It's a sign that institutional investors are getting involved. So this is probably another pocket pivot. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so there's another pocket pivot right there. Now, not every pocket pivot gives you to an immediate rebound like this one pretty much did. But a pocket pivot is, if you see pocket pivots, it's a good sign. It's just a good sign. I'm glad you can't Google it. That means it's going to work for a while. But that's a pocket pivot. You're looking for early accumulation signs. So if we go over here to INS, foretelling of pocket pivots. That's a pretty clear pocket pivot right there. Right there, obviously, right? Sometimes a pocket pivot leads with a breakout, sometimes it doesn't. This one, could this one be a pocket pivot? Looks like it. 1, 2, 3. Where is it? Right there? Nine bars to there. Yeah, it kind of looks like a pocket pivot. So there's an early pocket pivot sign. Okay, so that one worked out pretty good. I'm sure we can find pocket pivots that don't work. This one didn't really work for another couple of weeks. So I wouldn't consider that one working very well. But it did put in the low. That candle did put in the low. Sure, we can go to NVIDIA and probably find some pocket pivots that didn't work. You know, they don't all work. I mean, you don't want pocket pivots at an extreme downtrend like this one. This one doesn't work, and I wouldn't expect it to work. Ideally, you'd like it out of a low volume. So here's a situation where you probably could have expected a pocket pivot to work, and it didn't. So you have a low volume situation, a pocket pivot, and then this one rolls over. So, you know, they don't all work out, but it's just another toolkit in your arsenal. But yeah, Eli Lilly's ridiculous. So, and Eli Lilly can't have any pocket pivots because it has the largest volume ever seen by man. And it just ended for some reason. So, can't get a pocket pivot for a while. And that happens sometimes, but Eli Lilly is into new highs on really nothing volume. I guess it's not too bad for a half an hour into the trading session. I'm getting some red creeping into my list. AMRN going red, just not coming back, which is not a healthy sign. Already passed the previous breakout point. Usually like those to hold up. So far, not so much. Yeah, no problem, Rob. Take Two Interactive. Not bad here. Trade Desk filling in the channel. Will it be a channel? Will we find support here? Looks like we have a little bit. So there's our line's not $10 lower. It's not the line. Something's wrong. I don't know what though. Not enough cash, to be honest with you. I'm pretty much all invested at this point. Kind of got beaten up by I mean, really it was just one day, but sometimes when you get beat. So the last downturn, I was in quite a bit of cash, actually. I was like 33% cash, which is fine because like half my portfolio is in NASDAQ triple index fund. So 33% is me basically taking out half of my traditional trading amount. But I was pretty much fully invested when this thing happened. So hurt me a little bit. Hopefully things will come back. Don't sell off again. But yeah, I'm pretty much fully invested. Couple opportunities I couldn't take because I was too much invested. And I don't know, man. Things were looking really good a few days ago until that huge drop. And they're back to looking okay again. But you know, I trade a lot of options, and so what happens is I end up losing a lot of premium, and then things are slower to come back. it's kind of a weird curve. Like with options, I don't know if I can just draw a line. I don't know if I can, but with options, it kind of is kind of weird. Like if you take a stock graph, what ends up, so like if the stock chops around, goes up and then comes down and then comes up and forms a cup and breaks out and then pulls back. So let's say you're on point and you buy here. You're paying like let's say you're paying $2 for an option. By the time it gets back down here on this side, it's like 0.6 or something like that sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And so, sometimes you get caught by that too much, and that's why they're very dangerous, because you end up losing half of your capital very quickly. But then if this rallies up here, you're up like, it'll be like $5. If it goes up to here. So you end up with, and this whole move here could be like from here to here. This whole range could be 6%. So within that 6% range, you're going to make 200% or lose half your money. So it's been, it's a tricky situation. I mean, I have another options trading strategy, which I haven't seen too many opportunities, and so I'm trying this other one out. It's going 50-50, but my TQQQ strategy is working really well, and still working on that other option strategy. I think there's a couple other Greek metrics I should learn up on. Probably help me out in that scenario. And INS, working it, just continuing. I don't really have a preferred trading platform. I'm on E-Trade right now. I've been debating moving over to IB for a while. I should already be there, but I really don't like their platform. Hard to do things, but I'm paying up the yin yang to do it because IBD has really cheap commissions. I do trade quite actively, so I would probably save a couple $100 a month at least. Yeah, I wish I had about 20%, Justin. Maybe a little bit more. I would have banked some of those gains. What's ESNT doing? Are they finally bottoming? They came all the way back down here to lows. Maybe an opportunity for a reversal here. Pretty good volume after that bottoming candle right there. I think that could be the difference in this volume here. So ESNT could be moving out. I didn't trigger a sell rule. 6.47%. 8% is a sell rule, but getting down there is not so hot. This one up here to 54. STNE. Match has been hanging around here most of the day so far. Hopefully it'll hold up there. All right, guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. Market so far seems pretty stable. Nothing's really, reaching for the stars. INS is kind of doing what INS does, which all this thing does is reach for the stars. And STNE getting on pretty nicely. Chesapeake, we talked about them trying to get to this trend line. Looks like they stopped shy of the trend line and is moving higher. NBEV could be flattening a little bit here. Much larger consolidations at play. NVIDIA right back to it, 3.5%. Could get interesting if it doesn't sell off. I don't mind ESNT down here. Got a fairly low risk here, about 2.76% to that recent low. That's not bad. That's a pretty good one. And FOXF. Interestingly enough, this one continues to look really good. No pocket pivots to play because a couple of red candles here, but sustained green volume on the right side of this cup base, looking pretty good. And this is probably one of the ones I like the most. Have a base on base pattern and a breakout here. So I don't know if you want to early accumulate, but it's not looking too bad. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.